Hello, hola mi gente, ¿cómo está cana? Today I want to read to you guys from this book, Hans Christian Andersen Tales. This book is super textury. And there's some print on the back that's raised. Really nice pictures on the cover, inside cover. The tops, so pretty, so pretty. So these are old tales. So I do not believe I'm violating any copyright issues reading you guys this. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Comment. Been loving the comments. Thanks you so much. I'm Miss Ashling. I keep forgetting to introduce myself. So hi, if you're new here. Oh, there's a poll asking you guys if you see ads. I do not want you to see ads mid-roll. I know that they're probably gonna place an ad excuse me, at the end of a video, but I don't understand why they do it in mid-roll. I understand from their point of view, but it's not good for you. It's not good for you. It's not good for you. And it's not good for me because I don't benefit. I do not benefit. So why should you guys get added to this? Okay, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Miss Ashling is like, no, you're not doing that to my viewers. What? So please let me know. I think I shut everything off, but I'm still learning a lot of techie stuff. Yeah, so without further ado, I'm gonna get a comb because it's real thin and I want to trace some stuff for you, and then I'll pick a story to read it to you. So I'm gonna use this comb to get some of those cobwebs out the ears. I know sometimes we spend all day hearing nonsense. It's like ear bleach. Do you guys know eye bleach on Reddit? I love it. So here we go. We got some ear bleach, right? Okay. So hands. Hans Christian Andersen. Hans Christian Andersen. Tales. Hans Christian Andersen tales. There's a lot of quotes embedded into this lovely soft cover. Wow. Oh, ooh. Life itself is the most wonderful fairy tale. Hans Christian Andersen Tales in the corner. They have this symbol. I'm not sure what this might represent. for this offer. I don't know, but I imagine it must be something because this little symbol is also on the top. Maybe we'll find a solution. Or maybe not. Sometimes the pretty thing is there just for it to be pretty. Hans Christian Andersen Tales. Hans Christian Andersen Tales. From World Cloud Classics. That's the publisher of this book. Oh yeah, look at this. This is from one of the stories. Like melted, melted, melted. Fire, fire, blue, blue. It's probably backwards for you guys. Is it? Before I decided to hang out here in the studio and do some reading and writing of my own, I was an English teacher, so I do have that strange ability to read upside down. So let's get to it. As I drop the comb. So much for a pointer. Okay. These are the content. All the little stories. So many stories. So many stories. There is a publisher's note. And they let us know that there's a year that appears next to the title of the story to let us know the original day of the story's publication in any language. Most were published by Andersen in Danish during his lifetime as serials in magazines or as collected works. So back in the day, you know, you couldn't create a YouTube channel. YouTube didn't exist for this guy, right? So you actually had to pick up something printed. Yeah, that's my bias. That's my bias. I am all for digital. I'm there with you. But let's not forget the OG materials, okay? The tallow candle from the 1820s. All right, so let's read this story. Okay. I put on my lavalier mic. You can hear. So I can sit by the light and see a little bit better. There was sputtering and sizzling as the flames played under the pan. This was the tallow candle's cradle, and out of the warm cradle slipped the candle, perfectly shaped, all of a piece shiny white and slender. It was formed in a way that made everyone who laid eyes on it believe that it must promise a bright and glorious future. Indeed, it was destined to keep that promise and fulfill their expectations. The sheep, a pretty little sheep, was the candle's mother, and the melting pot was its father. From its mother, it had inherited its dazzling white body and an intuitive understanding of life, but from its father, it had acquired the desire for the blazing fire that would eventually reach its very core and shine the light for it in life. That is how it had been made and how it cast itself, with the best and brightest of hopes into life. Here it met an amazing number of fellow creatures with whom it had dealings, since it desired to get to know life and thus perhaps find the most suitable niche for itself. But the candle saw the world in too benevolent a light, while the world only cared about itself and not about the tallow candle at all. The world was unable to understand the true nature of the candle, so it tried to use it to its own advantage and handled the candle improperly. Black fingers made bigger and bigger spots on the white color of innocence, which little by little totally disappeared, to be covered with the filth of an outside world that had been far too harsh and come much closer than the candle could bear, since it had been unable to distinguish between the pure and the impure, but deep inside it was still innocent and unspoiled. That's some pretty deep thoughts for a candle. That is when the false friends realized that they could not reach its innermost part. In anger, they threw away the candle, considering it a useless thing. The outer black layer kept away everybody good. They were afraid of becoming contaminated by the black color, of getting spots on themselves, so they kept a distance. Have you ever felt that way? Sounds familiar, right? Let's see what happens with the candle now. Now the poor tallow candle was lonely, abandoned, and at its wit's end. It felt cast off by what was good and discovered that it had been nothing but a blind tool used to advance what was bad. It felt so terribly sad because it had lived its life without purpose. Perhaps it had even tarnished some good things by its presence. It could not grasp why and to what end it had been created, why it was put on this earth where it might destroy itself and even others. Innocent little candle doesn't know why it's here, doesn't want to hurt anyone else. Does that sound familiar to you? Can you relate to that? More and more, increasingly deeply, it pondered the situation. But the more it thought, the greater its despondency, since it could not find anything good at all, no real meaning for itself, or see the purpose it had been given at birth. It was as if the black layer had also thrown a veil over its eyes. That was when it met a small flame, a tinderbox. A tinderbox. The tinderbox knew the light better than the tallow candle knew itself, for the tinderbox saw everything so clearly, right through the outer layer, and inside it found so much good. Therefore it went closer, and bright hopes emerged in the candle. It lit up, and its heart melted. The flame shone brightly like a wedding torch of joy. Everything became bright and clear, and it showed the way for those in its company, its true friends. And helped by the light, they could now successfully seek truth. Do you have a tinderbox? Who's your one person? Maybe it's a pet. Maybe it's a inspirational person somewhere. But the tinderbox knows you. Sometimes let the tinderbox help you out. go ahead and read that again because it was just so cool. That was when it met a small flame, a tinderbox. The tinderbox knew the light better than the tallow candle knew itself, for the tinderbox saw everything so clearly. Right through the outer layer and inside, it found so much good. Therefore it went closer, and bright hopes emerged in the candle. It lit up, and its heart melted. I put my finger there so I don't lose my place this time. The flame shone brightly like a wedding torch of joy. Everything became bright and clear, and it showed the way for those in its company, its true friends, and helped by the light they could now successfully see truth. It's funny, like the idea of a wedding torch that's like the brightest light, because if you think about when this was written in 1820s, like that's how people connected. You had to get married kind of thing, and that's like when your life's supposed to start. It can be, but it's not the be all end all. So it's just funny because you read something like that today and it's like, well, what's that's supposed to mean? But don't forget, when you read something, remember the time it was written. The body too was strong enough to nurture and support the burning flame. Like the beginnings of new life, one round and plump drop after the other rolled down the candle, covering the filth of the past. As the wax melts off of you in your life, you're shedding the stuff you don't need to hold on to. This was not only the bodily but also the spiritual gain of the marriage. The tallow candle had found its true place in life and proved that a true light shone for a long time, spreading joy for itself and its fellow creatures. I love the symbol of the candle being married to the tinderbox. Again, we're talking about that time period, so like a joining, a collaboration. That's what it is. The tinderbox and the candle be like way up in that collab. Oh yeah. Oh, and the next story is called The Tinderbox. I have not read these in a long time, so these are a surprise to me as they are to you. I know some of the Hans Christian Andersen tales, but not all of them, so enjoy the ride. Okay. This one was published in 1835. The Tinderbox. There came a soldier marching down the high road. 1, 2, 1, 2. He had his knapsack on his back and his sword at his side as he came home from wars. On the road he met a witch, an ugly old witch, a witch whose lower lip dangled right down on her chest. That's real lip. Good evening, soldier, she said. What a fine sword you've got there, and what a big knapsack. Aren't you every inch a soldier? And now you shall have money, as much as you please. That's very kind, you old witch, said the soldier. Sus? I'm a little sus, let's see. See that big tree? The witch pointed to one nearby them. It's hollow to the roots. Climb to the top of the trunk and you'll find a hole through which you can let yourself down deep under the tree. I'll tie a rope around your middle so that when you call me, I can pull you up again. What would I do deep down under that tree? The soldier wanted to know. Fetch money, the witch said. Listen, when you touch bottom, you'll find yourself in a great hall. It's very bright there because more than 100 lamps are burning. By their light, you will see 3 doors. Each door has a key in it, so you can open them all. If you walk into the first room, you'll see a large chest in the middle of the floor. On it sits a dog, and his eyes are as big as saucers.
But don't worry about that. I'll give you my blue checkered apron to spread out on the floor. Snatch up that dog and set him on my apron. Then you can open the chest and take out as many pieces of money as you please. They are all copper. But if silver suits you better, then go into the next room. There sits a dog and his eyes are as big as mill wheels. But don't you care about that. Set the dog on my apron while you line your pockets with silver. Maybe you'd rather have gold. You can, you know. You can have all the gold you want. Nope, I read that wrong. You can have all the gold you can carry if you go into the third room. The only hitch is that there on the money chest sits a dog, and each of his eyes is as big as the round tower of Copenhagen. That's the sort of dog he is. But never mind you how fierce he looks. Just set him on my apron, and he'll do you no harm as you help yourself from the chest to all the gold you want. For visualization purposes, and because this was written in a time when we're like, well, what the heck is that? What's a saucer? Do you guys know what a saucer is? That's not a common everyday word. It's if you have a teacup and underneath the teacup, that little plate is called the saucer. So think about that as a size. And then the next size was a mill wheel. A mill, if you've never seen a mill, that's how like they used to grind flour in the day. So then how can you possibly know what the image is, right? This is like one of my pet peeves from teaching. It's like, no, we need to explain more to the kids, because certain things are not in our everyday language anymore when we read from old books, right? So a mill wheel would probably be the size of like somebody's front door, but then make it a wheel, and it could be even bigger because it's like moving the water. Or if it's a windmill, which, because it's in Danish, the Netherlands, Denmark, which is a different country. See how hard it is? It's hard to remember where everything is. Yes, Denmark. It's in Europe. It's on the top, but not on that top. It's like right there. It's still on the quote continental part. Are Scandinavian countries considered European? I mean, sort of, right? But not all of them are in the EU. So we're gonna look that up too. Oh, and then the last but not least, the big thing that said the round tower of Copenhagen. So that's a tower for a city. Like that's the city's tower. So that thing is huge. That's like when I think of the Statue of Liberty, she's holding up some like big old clock. So that dog is really big. really big. And that's why I guess he's guarding the gold. Anyway. That suits me, said the soldier. But what do you get out of all this, you old witch? I suppose that you want your share. That's a good point. No, indeed, said the witch. I don't want a penny of it. All I ask is for you to fetch me an old tinderbox that my grandmother forgot the last time she was down there. Good, said the soldier. Tie the rope around me. Here it is, said the witch, and here's my blue checkered apron. The soldier climbed up to the hole in the tree and let himself slide through it, feet foremost down into the great hall where the hundreds of lamps were burning, just as the witch had said. Now he threw open the first door he came to. Ugh! There sat a dog glaring at him with eyes as big as saucers. You're a nice fellow, the soldier said, as he shifted him to the witch's apron and took all the coppers that his pockets would hold. He shut up the chest, set the dog back on it, and made for the second room. Alas and alack, There sat the dog with eyes as big as mill wheels. Like, the dog has to be proportionately that big, though. Like, don't you look at me like that. The soldier set him on the witch's aprons. You're apt to strain your eyesight. When he saw the chest brimful of silver, he threw away all his coppers and filled both his pockets and knapsack with silver alone. Then he went into the third room. Oh, what a horrible sight to see! The dog in there really did have eyes as big as the round tower, and when he rolled them, they spun like wheels. That sounds kind of scary, actually. Good evening, the soldier said, and saluted. For such a dog he had never seen before. But on second glance he thought to himself, this won't do. So he lifted the dog down to the floor and threw open the chest. What a sight! Here was gold and to spare. He could buy out all Copenhagen with it. He could buy all the cake woman's sugar pigs and all the tin soldiers' whips and rocking horses there are in the world. Yes, there was really money. Praise him. In short order, the soldier got rid of all the silver coins he had stuffed in his pockets and knapsack to get gold in their place. Yes, sir, he crammed all his pockets, his knapsack, his cap, and his boots so full that he scarcely could walk. Now he was made of money. Putting the dog back on the chest, he banged out the door and called up through the hollow tree. Pull me up now, you old witch. Have you got the tinder box? Asked the witch. Confound the tinder box, the shoulder. Lo siento. Confound the tinder box, the soldier shouted. I clean forgot it. When he fetched it, the witch hauled him up. Then he stood on the high road again, and with his pockets, boots, knapsack, and cap full of gold. What do you want with the tinder box? He asked the old witch. None of your business, she told him. You've had your money, so hand over my tinder box. Nonsense, said the soldier. I'll take out my sword and I'll cut your head off if you don't tell me at once what you want with it. I won't, the witch screamed at him. So he cut her head off. Oh my goodness. This ain't no Disney business. There she lay. But he tied all his money in her apron, slung it over his shoulder, stuck the tinder box in his pocket, and struck out for town. Yo, this dude, I don't like it. It was a splendid town. He took the best rooms at the best inn and ordered all the good things he liked to eat, for he was a rich man now because he had so much money. The servant who cleaned his boots may have thought them remarkably well worn for a man of such means, but that was before he went shopping. Next morning, he bought boots worthy of him and the best clothes. Now that he had turned out to be such a fashionable gentleman, people told him all about the splendors of their town, all about their king, and what a pretty princess he had for a daughter. Where can I see her? The soldier inquired. You can't see her at all, everyone said. She lives in a great copper castle inside all sorts of walls and towers. Only the king can come in or go out of it, for it's been foretold that the princess will marry a common soldier. The king would much rather she didn't. I'd like to see her just the same, the soldier thought, but there was no way to manage it. Now he lived a merry life. He went to the theater, drove about in the king's garden, and gave away money to poor people. Okay, at least he did that. At least he gave away money to poor people. This was to his credit, for he remembered from the old days what it feels like to go without a penny in your pocket. Now that he was wealthy and well-dressed, he had all too many who called him their friend and a genuine gentleman. That pleased him.
sorry about that. The rest of the world isn't ready to go to sleep yet. Garbage trucks, everything just happened. Let's get back to our story. I'm just looking for the microphone, guys, sorry. Test. Hopefully this is working. We'll find out in post. Okay. But he spent money every day without making any and wound up with only 2 coppers to his name. He had to quit his fine quarters to live in a garret, clean his own boots, and mend them himself with a darning needle. None of his friends came to see him because there were too many stairs to climb. Poor him. Stairs are good. One evening, when he sat in the dark without even enough money to buy a candle, he suddenly remembered there was a candle end in the tinder box that he had picked up when the wind sent him down the hollow tree. He got out the tinderbox, and the moment he struck sparks from the flint of it, his door burst open, and there stood a dog from down under the tree. It was the one with eyes as big as saucers. "What," said the dog, "is my lord's command?" "What's this?" said the soldier. "Here I got the sort of tinderbox that will get me whatever I want. Go get me some money," he ordered the dog. Zip, the dog was gone. Zip, he was back again with a bag full of copper in his mouth. Now the soldier knew what a remarkable tinderbox he had. Strike it once, and there was the dog from the chest of copper coins. Strike it twice, and here came the dog who had the silver. 3 times brought the dog who guarded gold. Back went the soldier to his comfortable quarters. Out strode the soldier in fashionable clothes. Immediately his friends knew him again because they liked him so much. Interesting types of friends he's got. Then the thought occurred to him, isn't it odd that no one ever gets to see the princess? They say she's very pretty, but what's the good of it as long as she stays locked up in that large copper castle with so many towers? Why can't I see her? Where's my tinderbox? He struck a light, and zip came the dog with eyes as big as saucers. "It certainly is late," said the soldier, "practically midnight, but I do want a glimpse of the princess, if only for a moment." Out the door went the dog, and before the soldier could believe it, here came the dog with the princess on his back. She was sound asleep and so pretty that everyone could see she was a princess. The soldier couldn't keep from kissing her because he was every inch a soldier. Then the dog took the princess home. Consent, I wonder. And next morning, when the king and queen were drinking their tea, the princess told them about the strange dreams she'd had, all about a dog and a soldier. She'd ridden on the dog's back, and the soldier had kissed her. Now that was a fine story, said the queen. The next night, one of the old ladies of the court was under orders to sit by the princess's bed and see whether this was a dream or something else altogether. The soldier was longing to see the pretty princess again, so the dog came by night to take her up and away as fast as he could run. I'm going to try that one again. The soldier was longing to see the pretty princess again, so the dog came by night to take her up and away as fast as he could run. But the old lady pulled on her storm boots and ran right after them. When she saw them disappear into a large house, she thought, now I know where it is.
big cross on the door with a piece of chalk. Then she went home to bed, and before long the dog brought the princess home too. But when the dog saw that cross marked on the soldier's front door, he got himself a piece of chalk and cross-marked every door in the town. This was a clever thing to do because now the old lady couldn't tell the right door from all the wrong doors he had marked. Early in the morning, along came the king and the queen, the old lady and all the officers to see where the princess had been. Here it is, said the king when he saw the first cross mark. No, my dear, there it is, said the queen, who was looking next door. Here's the one, there's one, and yonder's another one, said they all. Wherever they looked, they saw chalk marks, so they gave up searching. The queen, though, was an uncommonly clever woman who could do more than ride in a coach. She took her big gold scissors, cut out a piece of silk, and made a neat little bag. She filled it with fine buckwheat flour and tied it onto the princess's back. Then she pricked a little hole in it so that the flour would sift out along the way wherever the princess might go. Again the dog came in the night, took the princess on his back, and ran with her to the soldier, who loved her so much that he would have been glad to be a prince just so he could make her his wife. That's a little dated, I think. The dog didn't notice how the flour made a trail from the castle right up to the soldier's window, where he ran up the wall with the princess. So in the morning, it was all too plain to the king and queen just where their daughter had been. They took the soldier and they put him in prison. There he sat. It was dark and it was dismal, and they told him, "Tomorrow is the day for you to hang." That didn't cheer him up any, and as for his tinderbox, he'd left it behind at the inn. In the morning, he could see through his narrow little window how the people all hurried out of town to see him hang. He heard the drums beat and he saw the soldiers march. In the crowd of running people, he saw a shoemaker's boy in a leather apron and slippers. The boy galloped so fast that off flew one slipper, which hit the wall right where the soldier pressed his face to the iron bars. "Hey there, you shoemaker's boy. There's no hurry," the soldier shouted. "Nothing can happen till I get there, but if you run to where I live and bring me my tinderbox, I'll give you 4 coppers. Put your best foot foremost." The shoemaker's boy could use 4 coppers, so he rushed the tinderbox to the soldier, and well, now we shall hear what happened. Outside the town, a high gallows had been built. Around it stood many soldiers and many 100,000 people. The king and queen sat on a splendid throne opposite the judge and the whole council. The soldier already stood upon the ladder, but just as they were about to put the rope around his neck, he said the custom was to grant a poor criminal one last small favor. He wanted to smoke a pipe of tobacco, the last he'd be smoking in the world, or in this world. I mean, smoke 'em if you got 'em. The king couldn't refuse him, so the soldier struck fire from his tinderbox, once, twice, and a third time. Zip! There stood all the dogs, one with eyes as big as saucers, one with eyes as big as mill wheels, one with eyes as big as the round tower of Copenhagen. The size of that dog, seriously. "Help me, save me from hanging," said the soldier. Those dogs took the judges and all the council, some by the leg and some by the nose, and tossed them so high that they came down broken to bits. Again, not the Disney versions. "Don't," cried the king. But the biggest dog took him and the queen too and tossed them up after the others. Then the soldiers trembled, and the people shouted, "Soldier, be our king and marry the pretty princess." So they put the soldier in the king's carriage. All 3 of his dogs danced in front of it and shouted, "Hurrah!" The boys whistled through their fingers, and the soldiers saluted. The princess came out of the copper castle to be queen, and that suited her exactly. The wedding lasted all of a week, and the 3 dogs sat at the table with their eyes opened wider than ever before. What's the moral of that story? Comment down below and share. But hopefully you're already asleep. This is Miss Ashling signing off. Have a great night.